The next Lee and Ian podcast is approaching the station. Please step aside.
And welcome to the Lee and Ian Show. I'm Lee Navlin.
And I'm Ian Grodman.
The Lee and Ian Show is sponsored by Grodman Law and Mediation. Remember, when it comes to divorce, family first, your children first. Mediation, it's the way to go. Grodman Law and Mediation.
Thank you, Lee.
And Ian, if you want to check out my latest, it's LeeNavlinBooks.com.
I love that website.
When I'm not recording a podcast, Ian, I'm writing some really funny books
Really
according
funny.
to my mother.
And according to Ian Grodman.
Thank you, Ian. That's LeeNavlinBooks.com. So, Ian, when I was a kid, I wanted to become a fireman.
Ooh, very interesting.
How about you? What did you want to become?
I wanted to be a million different things, but the earliest memory I have is that I wanted to be an artist.
An artist. I always assumed politician. You know, just assumed because, no? Okay.
Although I do remember my cousin and I, when I was, I think, 7 years old, we made our own signs that said, "Vote for Humphrey, Nixon has ants in his pants," and marched around on the street in front of our building.
Oh, so that was long before my time.
Yeah, well, you may have been a baby.
That's right. Yes, that's
but
right.
Yes, yeah.
Well, the reason I want
6 or 7 I was.
That's the reason I'm talking about this with you, Ian, is
I know it
our
is.
guest has actually been living my childhood dream. He's a fire captain with the West Orange Fire Department, a career that has spanned 24 years. And Ian, listen to this. He's
listening.
also the chair of the West Orange Democratic Committee.
I know that very well.
And he's running for Essex County Commissioner-at-Large.
And there's a whole bunch of other things that are really interesting about him we're going to learn about today as well.
Would you like to introduce our guest, Ian?
You do it. You do it. You're the introducer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Abdur Yasin. He is running for, Ian?
County Commissioner.
County Commissioner of Essex County. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you. Thank you for being here.
So Abdur, just reading your background, I mean, you've done so much for your community over the years. I mean, sometimes the first question I'll ask someone running for office, why? But I almost could sense why you're doing it. It's because since you basically, been an adult, you've been serving community. First as a fireman, then you became the captain, the West Orange Committee. But that's not all you've done.
We'll let Abdur
Yeah, I
speak
mean,
about
it's just
that. Yeah.
so tell us a little bit about your background, and let's talk about the fire department. Let's talk about that before we get started. What's that like being a fireman?
Oh, it's great. To me, it's the best job in the world. I decided to become a firefighter back in college. I was in college. I was all set becoming a school teacher. I was going through the classes for student teaching and all that sort of stuff. And then my last year of school, right, September 11th, we all remember. And I was on, Rutgers Newark's campus, and we saw the events unfold in front of us. And, I just thought to myself, the incredible bravery and everything that was sort of going on there. At the time, both of my parents were both public servants. And I said to myself, wow, just the sheer, courage and sense of duty, all those things wrapped up in one. And of course, the somberness of the day, right?
Right.
So it sort of worked out, right? In a sense, to serve here, in my own hometown. I had taken the test previously in
You grew up in
1999.
West Orange, by the way.
Yes.
West Orange High School?
Yeah. Washington School for elementary,
There we go, yeah.
Edison Middle School,
Yeah.
and West Orange High School.
Right.
So I was, I ended up taking a test in 99. It kind of just sort of worked out where I was hired about 9 months after 9/11.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
basically a national tragedy, which it was, spoke to you, and it said, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're gonna save people.
And the firefighters were so heroic that day. Like everybody remembers, the firefighters and what they did and what they sacrificed. And, it's nice to hear that you were inspired by that.
Sure. Like I said, both my parents, they were working in actually, oddly enough, New Jersey Transit. So I kind of I was worried about them that day.
Right.
And I saw what was happening, people trying to get home, trying to get to their loved ones. And,
I was there, I know. Yep.
I felt a sense of duty and service that day. And, I even thought about getting into the military, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Because, a lot of folks felt that sense of patriotism, right?
Yeah.
And, I got hired to the fire department. Shortly after that, became an EMT. And by the way, this was my final year of school, so I took a break.
Yeah, okay, yep.
Got everything situated and went back to school and finished up my degree. So,
Wow,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
While you're serving as a in the fire department, you're finishing your degree. So I mean,
Yes.
that was
Well, school and working as a firefighter has been kind of my thing.
okay.
For a
Yeah.
long time, right?
For- yeah,
you
yeah.
got like you went beyond your bachelor's degree, right?
I did. I took some time off, and oddly enough, I found myself on the Rutgers Newark campus again.
Okay.
And ended up taking courses in public administration or my degree in public administration, a master's. That was really exciting, by the way, because sometimes there's certain things that you kind of keep close to you, right? So my capstone, oddly enough, was a case study on the strategic planning process for then College of St. Elizabeth.
Interesting.
Right, for years 2015 to 2020. So, I graduated. They ended up using that process, and now it's St. Elizabeth's University, by the way.
Wow.
And not for nothing, there's a few folks
I
out
think you
there
had a
that
little something to do with that.
maybe a little bit.
Yes, yes.
And it's kind of touching when you hear mayors
Right.
in Essex County talk
Right.
about students graduating and partnership programs that the city has with St. Elizabeth
great.
University.
That's great. I love that.
So, there's a bit of legacy with some of the things I've been able to do in my academic career and public service career.
And your academic career is still continuing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm currently a doctoral candidate.
Wow.
At same school. I can't get away from Rutgers Newark.
Hey, you know what? That's nothing wrong with that. It's an easy commute from West Orange.
It is. It is. Look, I've been incredibly blessed. I'm a doctoral candidate at the School of Public Affairs Administration. My dissertation topic is exploring the factors that have led to the underrepresentation of Blacks, Latinos, and women in the U.S. Fire Service.
That's great.
I'm really proud of the work,
Yeah.
and which we are going to complete.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege to have presented the work at the University of Bologna, which is the oldest running university in the world.
Yeah.
As well as in Seattle for a labor relations conference. So I'm excited. I mean, we have the campaign. Once we're done with the campaign, we're going to finish the work, right? But again, it's not just about taking up things that you care about or taking up projects, but you want these efforts to have meaning. You want them to change lives.
Right.
Well, that was actually what I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about. So, first, you rose to the rank of captain.
Yes.
Okay. Which, being an African American in the fire department, was that you see the way fire departments maybe were. The grandfather was a fireman. The son was a fireman. The grandson.
Family tradition.
Right. Almost right.
Yes.
Was there was there a battle there to get to where you wanted to go?
Yeah, look, these are things that I don't necessarily talk about all the time because you get so, you're there to work, you're there to provide for your family. But yes, of course, there's challenges, right? I was the first Black captain to achieve the rank or the first Black firefighter in the West Orange Fire Department's history to achieve the rank of captain. This was in 2014. Now others have since, been promoted. But, I also serve as a union rep, the
very important
vice president of my local.
Yep.
And I'm the first Black officer to have done that.
That's great.
And I've been doing that for some time. So, you try to do the best you can, but you know that you're representing.
Right.
You know that you're going to find yourself in spaces where you're going to be the only one in there. And you have doubly the job of doing a good job, but also representing at the same time because you might not have one come after you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a
heavy weight on your shoulders.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But it's one of those weights that I find myself drawing myself towards. It's kind of like the fire service in general, right? Like if you see, the burning buildings in front of you, are you going to get rattled and come apart? Or are you going to lock in and go in? Because there might be someone's loved one in there.
Yeah.
Someone's savings, their life savings. We've had, incidents and fires where we found ourselves, folks are out the building. But, artifacts.
Yeah.
Again, people's
pets, whatever. Yeah, right.
Certainly pets.
Yeah.
Right.
Mementos.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, it's not always about the house.
Right.
Right. but it's someone's home,
Exactly. It's
their
home.
life.
Right.
Yeah.
right? It's the
Yeah.
place where they come together, and that's where they're
Right.
raising their families.
Yep.
That's where they want to grow old.
Yep.
That's when they want to bring in new family members.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, everything they know and everything they're gonna know is in that house or in that apartment or
Oh, yeah.
whatnot, and you're there.
And by the way,
Yeah.
you know, my job is not just confined to West Orange. You know, I'm assigned to Engine 2, so
Right.
we're the mutual aid engine. So I've been all over the county
Okay.
fighting
Including
fires.
Maplewood and South Orange.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure Newark,
Absolutely.
and where there's skyscrapers or 20, 30-story buildings, right? I mean, and
Yeah, I mean,
I guess that's got to play in your head a little bit, especially since 9/11 was kind of led you
well,
in that direction.
there's other factors, right? Like
Yeah.
Newark is a big, it's our largest municipality, right? So it's got one of the largest fire departments. We'll say
Right.
second or first sometimes between Jersey City and Newark. They kind of battle back and forth.
Yeah.
But, look, with the crunch of, city budgets, municipal budgets, right? There's only but so much money in the pot. There's only so many people you can hire. We'll say just about every department in the state of New Jersey is understaffed, right? So you find yourself, and that's regardless of what actions are taken locally to kind of address issues. But, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm fighting a fire, whether it's in West Orange or Maplewood
Right.
or Newark. I'm not going to fight that fire any different.
Right.
I'm still going to give you 1,000%. And as a captain, I'm going to make sure that my firefighters that are working under me do the same, right? Whether it's, putting out a fire or addressing those very sensitive care needs, because someone is going through their worst day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah, I have a neighbor. He's
Yeah, my
a
pleasure.
police officer, and I said, "Well, what's it like being a cop?" And he says, "Very routine until it's not."
Right.
Yes.
And he says, "And that's you're not. It's just within a." And I'm sure same thing. You're having a nice afternoon, maybe you relaxing with some of the guys at the firehouse, and next thing you know, you're off to you don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're here for it, right? We're here to respond. But you said something to the effect of a nice afternoon. For me, right? I mean, I have the privilege of working across the street from my elementary school. I said Washington School.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting.
So one of the best things that happens every shift during the week during school,
Yep.
you raise
You
the
see all the
doors and the
kids.
kids get to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them are curious. Some of them want to come over and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
hang out with us.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's
sure.
15 minutes or,
Yeah.
the teenager that's walking down the street. We keep the doors open. We tell them, come in,
That's great.
see the trucks, see us.
Yeah, it's like seeing a Hollywood superstar to a little kid. You know,
It is.
Guy with a
Hey, look,
picture.
what I always say, it's like the amusement park to a certain extent.
Yeah.
You come in, you can hang out. You want to take pictures? Here's a hat. You
Yeah.
can sit in the truck. If you're there with your parent or something like that, or someone that can take pictures, take pictures.
Yeah.
We want to be inviting to you.
That's
and when
great.
it's warm out, we'll pull the engine out. We'll start spraying some water too.
There we go.
I know Ian would
You
like
know?
to slide down the pole.
We don't have any
whatever.
poles anymore.
Okay, good. Because Lee was like going to make me do that. I'm glad you don't. Thank you.
You got to get that on video if you do.
No, no.
Anyway,
I have an important question. Are you a good cook? Right? Because aren't firefighters really good cooks?
I think I could cook a little bit.
Okay, all right.
On Sundays, it's a familiar smell of
That's it.
Sunday gravy going on, or
That's
whatever
it,
your thing
yeah.
is. But yeah, it's funny. You do learn some life skills. If you didn't know how to
Right.
cook by the time you get to retirement, you definitely know how to cook by then.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a family environment,
Yep.
right? It's what you make of it. You absolutely have the calls. You have the camaraderie there, and you want to make sure that everyone feels welcome. But first and foremost, you're there to do a job.
Yep.
Because it shouldn't matter, what engine company, what day, what tour is working. Everyone should be able to get the same quality of, high quality of service out of you. And that's what it's about to us.
100%.
So can I ask a question too? And it goes to your thesis for your PhD also.
Yeah.
So, you've been there for 24 years. Have you been able to have an impact on what the personnel at the West Orange Fire Department looks like? Do you feel like it's more representative now than when you started, or?
I think for me personally, I mean, I think the greatest impact I would say that I had, you know, more so that I had, I guess, a certain level of control over was when I spent 2 years as training officer.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, you're taking things from the mindset of the people that you're hiring right now, each and every one of them, treat them as if one day they could be chief, right?
Yeah.
You know, those are important assets to you. They're gonna shape your department. They're gonna shape the experience that your residents have, shape their ideas and ideals of their community. It's gonna shape their sense of community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, it's not just about hiring folks, it's about investing.
Right.
You know, and look, I had the privilege of hiring the second woman to our fire
Oh,
department.
that's great.
Right. And, you know, I'm proud of the work that she's done and she continues to do and the drive that she has. Yeah, I mean, you have, you know, I'm no longer in that position, but, you know, my doctoral work speaks to human resource management.
Yep.
Right. And of course it leans into, you know, labor relations. And by the way, today's May 1st, it's May Day.
That's right.
You know, it's a big day for unions.
Yes.
And I'll touch on that in a second, you know, as far as, you know, where my thoughts are. But, you know, again, going back, anything and everything you do besides, well, even if we go back to being a company officer, you know, it's not just about being a captain. You're really shaping a firefighter's perspective of the job.
Right. The next guy in line, who's going to the next 25 years of his life. You're
Absolutely. I mean, and that was actually in my, now you've got me talking about my doctoral work here to a certain extent, but that was actually one of the questions that I posed to folks I was interviewing. What was your experience like with that first officer, right? Is that person treating you like a prized asset? No matter if you don't have to look like each other, you don't have to be the same gender. You could be completely different people, but are they setting you up for success?
That's great.
You know, teaching you, you know, obviously the rules and the regulations, but, you know, driving you to give your best. Because how you start out, and I would even more so, you know, transfer that to one's experience, you know, should we get elevated to or elected to the commissioner board.
Right.
How you start out will set the pace or set your trajectory for how you're going to perform.
That's great.
It's those early moments, right?
Yep.
You want to be set up for success. You know, you want to know how to develop good habits. You want to know, you know, where to find answers, where to trust where those answers are coming from. So, you know, right now with my current assignment, I'm actually the tour, you know, training officer. So new personnel come through my house because I'm very, very sensitive. And actually my crew, we're very sensitive to it as well. You know, 2 very experienced firefighters that work under me. One is a level 2 training officer. I'm a level 2 training officer. So once you learn everything at the fire academy, now you're gonna have to learn or relearn or work into how we do it here in the real world.
Right.
Yep. So Abdur,
yes.
very interesting. So you're a guy that basically says there's not a challenge that you're not willing to say, hey, all right, let me give that a shot. 2018, in a surprise victory, you become the chair of the West Orange Democratic Committee.
Yep.
Now, it was a surprise, and people weren't expecting you to win. How did you get involved in that in the first place with everything else going on in your life?
Yeah, so it was interesting. So I first was elected to the committee, the West Orange Democratic Committee, in 2014. I didn't get into it right away. You know, a district leader that I knew pretty well, he tried to convince me back in 2012. With President Obama and being reelected and so on. And I was like, no, not this time, whatever. Then that same district leader was actually, his wife was working for the town. She was laid off. And I saw the angst in him telling me that he was going to lose his house. And he actually did. And he ended up moving.
Terrible.
So to me, I was like, wow, you know, maybe I should get involved
Yeah.
just to understand how this all works.
Right.
Right. So I ran I got elected to my district at the time. And shortly after that, I was elected to Sergeant at Arms, basically at the same reorganization meeting.
Right.
And then our secretary, a couple years later, she ended up getting in a position where she couldn't be political anymore. So I became secretary. And in 2018,
That's how it
I ran
happens.
for chair.
Right.
Right. And, look, my election was contested. It was a closed ballot. I thought I had 20 votes, or at least 20 votes, right, going in. But I worked the room, and I won 29-20.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, there was a process.
Yep.
And I won the day.
That's awesome.
And I faced a challenge the next time.
Yeah,
but two other times after that, I won through acclamation with no challenge.
But you understood that what it took to win an election and the work it went into, like you said, working the room and talking to people, finding out their big concerns and addressing their concerns. So Ian is the chair of the Maplewood Democratic Committee.
Yes, Abdur knows that.
So do you guys do stuff West Orange, Maplewood? Do you guys all go out for beers or anything like that? Is there a secret watering hole?
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. But there is communication?
Absolutely. I mean, it's important for the municipal chairs to speak to each other. So Abdur and I speak to each other. We speak to chairs all over the county. We speak to, our Essex County, leadership. So, I mean, that's part of the job, is that we all speak to each other all the time about what's going on and how we can do better.
Yeah, and Abdur, do you like Ian? What's the thoughts
I don't
around
know
this?
about that, but yeah.
I'm joking.
Oh, yeah. Ian's been a friend. I think, all along, when you become chair, right, and it's not easy. I mean, believe me, it's not easy.
I know
my committee
being buddies with Ian. I see the challenges that he deals with because of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, the way it's structured, every district leader or every, two district leaders represent one district, and they're basically representing like neighborhoods or groupings of streets throughout your whole municipality. Right. So to a certain degree, I kind of look at it like, all right, look, you're the mayor of your blocks.
Right.
You should be telling us what's going on in your neighborhoods. Now, if you really want to get into it and you want to, all right, there's a pothole there, there's a street light out there,
right.
You can do that, right? Yep. But ultimately, folks that, are district leaders, they really want to be a part of,
They want to be a part of the community. Absolutely.
Sure.
And, to your point, our district leaders, we tell them all the time, it's up to you what you want to do. But one of the benefits to being a district leader is, it's sometimes it's easier for you to get in touch with the elected officials in the town and say, like, to your point, there's a pothole on the street, and like people like reaching out to Public Works, and maybe Public Works isn't getting it taken care of right away. But if the district leader calls the township committee member or the mayor and says, this has become a real problem, people on my block are very concerned about it, that will help to get it done, and it's a valuable thing that district leaders can do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it keeps even busier than you already are.
Yeah, I mean, look, to Ian's point, we are, because we're the formal party, right? So, our democratic elected officials, they're coming to our meetings.
Yep.
We don't have to be the gatekeeper to that relationship. You go have that relationship with, and we're talking about at the highest levels too.
Yep.
There are times when, presidential candidates will come in the area and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say or promise, hey, you're going to get,
no promises. We don't know
presidential candidate's phone number or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, this does offer a way to really have direct communication, or at least as a group.
Yep.
With the folks that are affecting your lives, from a public, from a public policy standpoint, from an elected standpoint, and so on. And for what it's worth, folks go through stuff.
Yes,
right.
That's right.
And sometimes they want to keep those things private. So go build your relationship with this legislator, or this person at the county level, or even to your point, the mayor or council person.
Right.
This is what it's about, and that's what you're. District. This is all. This party service is free. It's not like we're getting paid for it.
That's it.
But that sweat equity is what you're.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
relationship building.
100%. So Abdur, Essex County Democrats have endorsed McGrath Klein, Richardson, and of course yourself to run 4 county commissioner-at-large seats on June 2nd.
Yes.
By the way, congratulations on that. That's
Yes.
that's an
Thank
important
you.
endorsement by some really good people. So obviously, you impressed people that see your skills and
close to
leadership.
1,000 people involved in that endorsement process, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't
Oh, yeah.
just a handful of people. It was all of the Democratic Party district leaders throughout Essex County were involved in that process.
Yeah, so that's outstanding. So your family, you said, "Hey, I'm going to run for county commissioner." Does your family say, "Are you crazy?" Because I would imagine you
Yes,
probably
we know
heard a
they
little
did,
bit of
yeah.
that on top of everything else you've accomplished and are accomplishing.
Well, look, my wife is very supportive. You know, herself, she's a public worker, and she's a federal worker.
Okay. So she understands the mission.
Absolutely. You know, until this administration rolled back union protections and union membership, she was a member of,
Okay.
a federal union.
Yeah.
So she gets it. She felt the full weight of Doge and, all the things that are going on,
she still
including
employed?
ICE. She is,
Good.
thankfully. So she's supportive of me 100,000%. I was just saying it to her right now. It feels like this whole thing is like a 3 to 11 job, right?
Right.
Because a lot of things tend to happen in like the evening and stuff. But you find ways to make time, right? And I feel like right now it's a crunch, it's a rush, and after June 2nd, I still have the doctoral work.
That's it. That's
But
what
we've
just
already had
talked about.
we promised us some days down at the beach, some dinners,
Okay.
maybe a short vacation,
That's
and there
important.
we're gonna get there, right?
Yeah.
But I say all to say, part of what's driving me is this, it's the service and leadership aspects. But you touched on something about the folks that were endorsed, right?
Yep.
Look, we have a contested election. All 6 of us, I think, have our hearts and our minds on what's best for the county. And I would say, regardless of where this goes, we should all be supportive of Democratic candidates. But that being said, the 4 of us bring unique things, unique skill sets, unique views, perspectives that I think will be entirely complementary, right?
That's great.
You have some municipal experience with, from a council standpoint with Christine McGrath.
Yep.
You have municipal leadership in Dr. Sean Klein.
Yep.
You have, a lengthy experience at the county level, including as the council commissioner president in Wayne Richardson,
Who's an incumbent, right? So he's
Correct.
Yep.
Right. He's
Right.
been there for a long time.
as
yeah.
well as, his background in private labor
Yep.
with Leuna. And then you have myself with, long administrative experience, 24 years, whether it's in the fire department, close to, I think, 12 years now in teaching in courses in public affairs and administration
That's great.
Right.
At Rutgers Newark.
at Rutgers Newark, and it's one of the highest ranked
Yep.
public administration programs in the country. Also, I teach in a program, Certified Public Manager, which I'm on my 3rd cohort now, where I just graduated. Well, they just finished, but some of my students have been municipal leaders, county
Yeah.
leaders.
Oh,
They
that's
shall
great. Oh,
and state workers. They shall remain nameless, but they know who they are.
Okay, all
But
right, good.
I feel that that those tools, if you will, are for making places where they work or the places that they serve better. So you have a nice mixture here of service at different levels,
Right.
leadership in different ways,
Very good points.
right?
Yeah.
And then looking at at least 2 of us in the at large, right, are looking at the ledger from the labor side, right?
Okay.
And here I'll talk
Very
about May Day
important.
right now,
Yeah.
right?
Good.
Because look, with May Day, you can have different unions, but they all stand behind issues like the protection of collective bargaining,
Right.
keeping wages strong, because folks are talking about an affordability crisis in this
That's
country. If you start eroding wages from whether they're public unions, private unions, and so on, everybody else is next,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So, we also reinforce workplace democracy, the ability to come together and have a collective voice, to talk about whether they're the issues in the workplace or the issues that affect the folks that you're serving.
Right.
So these
Very
are,
important.
this is a very important day.
Yeah.
You know, and in my course, I was just talking to someone about this. I said, you know, and I was thinking about it in terms of public workers, public unions, but I think it goes to private. There are 4 constitutional amendments that are the most important to you as a worker, right? Now, and now I'm thinking about it, you know, when it comes to being, you know, someone living in the United States, right? First Amendment, you always think about freedom of speech, right? But it actually codifies the existence of unions because freedom to organize, assemble, organize. That also goes back to party. Right. Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. I'm talking to a lawyer now.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yep.
So you can't have a search without a warrant.
Exactly.
Right. So in the public workplace, you know, employers can't just go in and check your files as it pertains to your union. Right. So obviously you're not going to use your work email to talk. I'll stop it there. I'm not going to give out all the secrets.
Trade secrets.
Be careful. Yes.
Right. Fifth Amendment. Right. Due process. You know, so you have a presumption of innocence out in the public. The same thing with the workplace. You know, let's get to the facts before we start to, you know, come after you. And then last but not least, equal protection. The 14th Amendment.
Awesome.
Right. So everyone pays in to, you know, pays union dues. They're all covered under the collective bargaining agreement, and they're all afforded the same rights and privileges that the union provides.
That's right.
I would say these are 4 things that are deeply important to us and reinforce, you know, our you know, us living under this social contract. Right.
Yeah.
And I would even say, regardless of your status is, to a certain degree, right? Or
absolutely, they still apply.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, this day is really special, again, for someone that is a member of 2 different unions, whether it's my fire union, the FM, you know, the FMBA.
Leadership too. And, you know, it's interesting for the way that you're saying it, Abdur, because, you know, again, in this country right now, so many of these freedoms are under attack, right? And so the unions become even more important than they were before to make sure that these freedoms are still guaranteed to everybody, at the very least in the workplace, but beyond that as well. So that's a great point. I love that.
100%.
Thank you.
Want to talk a little bit about your priorities for Essex County, but before I do that, when Ian and I, before we do a podcast, I'll say, Ian, what about this? I call him up. I have a question about that. He'll yell at me, do your homework. So anyway, now that I've done my homework, I just want to. An Essex County Commissioner in New Jersey acts as part of a 9-member legislative body similar to a county council or Congress that manages county government operations, approves the annual budget, and sets policy. They oversee county parks, roads, bridges, and local agencies. So, just in case anybody out there in the audience was wondering exactly what the job entails, that's basically what it is. Now, some of your priorities. And of course, I'm looking on your website, affordability, support unions, upgrade roads, stronger, safer communities. We'll talk a little bit about what you're going to do once you're elected.
Yes, thank you. And again, to your point, a lot of folks don't know what a county commissioner does, right? And when I'm talking to folks, I'm like, look, you know, if you live in a city or you live in a town, it's very much like your town council or your city council, right? And, you know, we are the legislative branch. In this case, there's 9 members. You know, there's 4 at large, which basically means that they represent the entire county, which is 22 municipalities. And then you have 5 districts, which, you know, carve out, you know, parts of the county, right? So you'll have some, you know, towns or parts of cities you know, clumped together. That being said, I think it's important to, you know, there's a certain level of oversight with the different departments and department heads. And you know, part of that is, you know, making sure those services or programs are communicated to different residents. And I think that's what I want to bring. That's one of my priorities, to bring a new set, you know, a new vision, a new voice, you know, to sort of getting to areas where they might be underrepresented, right? Yeah. So one of those areas, for example, you know, I'm the only Muslim that's running for office right now for county commissioner. Right. So, you know, really letting the Islamic community know, all right, these are the, because other faith-based communities do that. They,
Absolutely.
there's this programming going on. You have access to these, recreation or parks and so on, right? So, but it's not necessary. I don't look at things from a top-down perspective. Tell me what you want and see if we can match those wants and needs to what the county can offer. Right. And if the county can't offer those, maybe it's a different level of government.
Yeah.
So that's another way where I feel like collaboration with the different municipalities is important.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Right. Roads and infrastructure, with anything, if you build more buildings, and I'm not saying we're not doing that, or I'm not advocating for that, then there's the cost on the capital, to your capital budget.
That's it.
Right.
Right.
And we have to be sensitive to that. And again, I'm open to suggestions. I was just talking to a resident yesterday about, bike lanes on county roads. Let's possibly look into it. I'd rather say, look, can we investigate first before we start making promises?
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Can we do this? Can we do it safely? And
Absolutely.
Can we manage it with a budget that doesn't?
That's it.
Yeah.
Sure. Because, affordability is something that's affecting everyone. And we just simply don't have, an endless pot of unlimited resources, right? So, what are the things that we can sort of prioritize? What are the things that we can accomplish in a timely fashion? Yeah. Because we do have a budget year, a calendar year, and so on. Again, we want to make sure that we're keeping, the union jobs safe and secure. I mean, all the, from what I understand, all the collective bargaining units are under contract right now.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So that's not something that we have to sort of contest with right now. But, you still have issues with health benefits.
Right.
And that's something that I worked on at the state level for about 8 years, from 2013 to 2020, just before COVID. And we found a lot of savings in different ways. But it wasn't something where everything came off of the workers' backs.
Right.
Yep.
There were collaborative approaches. We tried some initiatives, right? And, being on the state health benefits program, at the time, different municipalities could opt in and opt out, right? So, getting back at the drawing board or having a say or sway over that issue is important, because at the end of the day, whatever happens, to the book of business that's public, will certainly happen on the private side.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
You want to make sure that you're maintaining access, quality, and cost. Those are the three areas.
Outstanding.
Right.
So we only have a few minutes left. What I love about your candidacy, not despite, but everything you're talking about is outstanding and reason enough to vote for you. But Ian, I just want to stress, Essex County guy. I was born in Essex County, I'm still in Essex. I love this county. I love this area. To me, see a guy who's just born in West Orange, been here in Essex County his whole life, and you want to lead the county, the next generation of leadership. Talk about what you love about this area.
What I love about this area. First of all, I was born in Newark.
Okay.
And we moved to.
There's no hospital in West Orange.
Right.
I was born Patterson.
University Hospital.
University
I was born there.
Newark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you? Was your first house in the baby? They took you to West Orange, or was it?
Yeah. My first house was in West Orange. Yeah. Look, this. What can I say? Essex County has been great to me.
Yep.
I was joking around about it at an event I was holding that my wife and I got married at the Eagle Rock Reservation's 9/11 memorial. When we did it, everyone was like, "What the heck is going on?" They're actually we are getting married right now. We had like a boombox playing the wedding song and everything.
With the views in Manhattan. Was it clear out? Was it clear out?
Clear.
Okay,
it was clear that day.
That's probably the first thing you're thinking about, right? If it's overcast, we're in trouble here.
Look, it's a place that we call home, and I've been afforded a lot of opportunities, whether it's to work here, to serve here, to learn here, and I feel like I owe a debt of gratitude every day to this county, and that's why I want to take this next step. I've learned a lot along the way. Of course, it hasn't been easy.
Right.
And I'll be honest, dabbling in politics as
That's
we do,
it. It's a big
in some
step.
way, but sometimes you win some, you lose some,
That's
so to
it.
say.
Exactly right.
But
thick skin, right?
You've
you
gotta
certainly
a
have to have thick skin.
Yep.
But all in all, in its totality, I've been fortunate more times than not.
Yeah.
And again, I guess that's why I keep coming back, to have the opportunity to serve.
All right. That's awesome. So the pride of West Orange right here, Ian.
Well, and serving West Orange and Essex County your entire adult life also.
Absolutely.
I think that's an important thing to point out.
Yes, 100%. So, Ian,
so I think we have to ask Abdur. Abdur, is there a website that people can look at to learn more about you, or maybe even make a donation to your campaign?
Yes, thank you. So my website is up. It's yasinforessex.com. We also have social media handles, particularly IG and Facebook. It's at Yasin for Essex. And on our website, there's links for our platform. There's links to volunteer. Please volunteer if you're interested. And again, we have a team that we're running together, that we're all endorsed by the Essex County Democratic Committee. Christine McGrath at 3E. Yeah. Myself at 4E, Abdur Yasin. 5E is Sean Klein, and 6E is Wayne Richardson. Again, we're going around the county. I didn't realize how big this county really is.
That's it. It's pretty,
You figure you're driving around
out.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, look, we're here for it, right? Yeah. We're doing an event, actually a meet and greet on Monday.
Right in South Orange, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. At what is it? Papillon.
Papillon.
Yep.
On Valley Street.
great restaurant.
Yeah. And look, it's just a meet and greet, social type of thing where we can kind of get to know each other and meet the candidate. It's Monday, May 4th at 6:00. And we're inviting folks. I mean, of course, you guys please stop by and
Great.
Thank you.
make an appearance. Come
the
see
Maplewood
us.
Democratic Committee is planning. We haven't spoken to you yet, so I'm telling you right now, a big canvassing event on May 30th because May is a difficult month. We're speaking to all of the people who are running for county commissioner, as well as Analia Mejia's campaign as well. So,
Great.
Yeah.
And look, she's fabulous.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had her on a few weeks ago, and right. I mean, this is
talk about hitting the ground running. Like your first week in Congress,
and pushing the $25 minimum wage. I mean, you talk about the electricity behind her and her candidacy, and hitting the ground running.
She's doing amazing.
Yeah, and by the way, look, she's a district leader.
Yeah. That's right, in Glenridge.
I mean, talk about feet to the ground.
About that. Yeah,
union organizer and leader, and
that's right.
And much like yourself, and much like Klein, who we interviewed, and McGrath, who we had on the show, these are very approachable people. So when you go to these meet and greets, I mean, you're going to be very happy with the person that you talk to.
Good point, Lee.
And that's not always the case when you meet people running for office.
Sometimes it's not, but it is with this group for sure.
With this group.
Yep.
So, Ian, anything else? Should we?
I think that's probably it.
Okay, so Abdur, best of luck. The election is on June
2nd.
June 2nd. Look, there's vote by mail ballots out there. Folks are already voting.
Vote by mail ballots are already out there, so be on the lookout for them. There will be early voting going on. One early polling location is right in Abdur's town at the Turtleback Zoo in West Orange.
Yep.
People from Maplewood and South Orange. You can vote at the Irvington Municipal Complex. So we're kind of equidistant to both of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since there's no fire pole, can Ian ride on the back of the fire truck?
That I would like to do.
Give me a call. We'll
I will. Very good. That'll be fun.
All right, our next Lee and Ian show.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Okay. So, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we'll call it a night. So,
sounds good.
All right. So, everybody, until we do it again, good night.
Good night.
Thank you.